Welcome back. This is the Burger Varsity Football House on the campus of Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania. And this is Signing Day Central presented by Coke Zero. We already have spent a good part of the day looking at all of the recruits that are coming in, the scholarship athletes, and of course there are 20 new football players coming on campus as of the springtime and the fall here at Lafayette College. And right now I'm sitting down with John Luce. I've talked to the offensive coordinator, now the defensive coordinator. John's been around quite a while with head coach Frank Devani. And John, your first year with scholarships here at Lafayette. I know you covered a lot of territory. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about something I did not talk to Mickey Fine about, and that's all the preliminary work that goes into establishing the list of students, scholars that you are going to have to go out and see. How do you go about getting that list together?
You know, the biggest thing is the calendar's changed tremendously. It's just much quicker. You know, typically we went out in May and collected names, but I've probably seen 50 to 100 videos of 2014 or the juniors already. You know, so everything's just, it's accelerated. So I spent the last couple weeks on the road. You know, I'd pop in and see a kid like Matt Rothrock or, you know, one of my guys, or, you know, if it was a top kid in a position that was close enough. But I mostly went around and talked to coaches about juniors. So that's where it's different. So you go out, you try to find juniors that are good players. The difference with scholarships is they don't have to fit anymore financially. They don't have to fit. So you're really looking for a player who's good enough to play football here, who's a scholarship level player, who can get in academically. So you throw a third portion out whether his parents can make it work financially, which is it's a pretty big chunk. So you recruit a different player because
that says to me though that also broadens the number of kids that are now available to you, which makes a number that could be, to me at least, almost astronomical, to narrow that number down to a size that you're able to deal with in terms of recruiting.
You know what? It increases the number in some ways in that you can recruit a different kid because you have a scholarship. It decreases the number though because you're not trying to find that fit financially. So you're not messing around. You're really, because you're recruiting a better player. You can watch a film and just say, and look at a transcript and say, hey, this kid can get in academically if he keeps doing what he's doing in the classroom. But you can look at him from a football standpoint and just say, you know what, if he keeps doing what he's doing on the football field and he keeps getting better, we're going to take this kid with a scholarship, or at least he's going to be in the hunt. Whereas before, you'd have a lot of players that you just kept alive because you thought, well, maybe this kid's not going to work. Maybe that kid's not going to work. You know that this kid's going to work financially. So really, your number was decreased. I know this. In December of, and I've been here 13 years, and probably for the first 12 years, I had a war board, which is my top guys. And I was always over 100-something kids when it came to December. I might have been at 20, 16, 17. So the difference is too, you're not just looking for a kid that can fit financially, academically, and football-wise. You're actually finding kids that are great players that you know can make it work financially because it's a scholarship now, and they can get in because you saw a transcript in their junior year as long as they keep doing what they're doing. So you're actually recruiting kids. That's where it's different. It used to be finding, now it's more recruiting, making a relationship with the coach and the parents and the kids. It's a lot different.
What's the percentage of kids who find Lafayette and the percentage of kids who you find for Lafayette?
Oh, you know what? I don't know exactly, I guess, but I think most kids that come here, especially when you get further away, it's a little bit different now that I'm the local guy. I know in Florida, I would say if I recruited 50 kids here, I would think that 48 of them probably, and this is a guess, but probably 48 of them, they never would have come here if we didn't recruit them. It's a little bit different now because I have Eastern PA and Southeast New York. I still think the vast majority of them, you're fighting to get them on campus. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get kids that are juniors on campus to come to spring ball. I'll never forget, like Matt Rothrock said it to me, and there were some other players too. He comes and he watches spring ball and he goes, man, it's pretty good football now. He's standing 20 feet from inside run and he sees those guys get whacked around. He says, this is a little better than my high school team. It's a good high school program. So I think that gets their interest coming. Then they come and they see, what kind of crowd and the atmosphere and all those things we have. So you're cultivating that interest. Now he's heard of Lafayette. He's close enough. But I think, you're trying to get him here to see what it is. Now the difference with scholarships is you're competing more. It seemed like we had a lot more kids that, you got them because you're your best option.
Right.
But now everybody has a scholarship, so you compete with a lot of people, so you have to do a better job actually recruiting as opposed to finding.
As you walk up to the front door this year compared to walking up to the front door of potential athletes last year, Do you have a little bit different kind of swagger because you know you have some money to offer to kids that you really want to come
it's
here?
a lot different. And, you know, each kid that I've had that I've committed, or if it's a defensive kid that I've seen on the road, I always ask the parents the same thing. I said, did you think when he was, you know, 8, 9 that you were going to get a free education? And you know, they laughed like I was hoping so, you know. But it is a totally different animal in recruiting, because and the high school coaches look at you differently, the parents look at you differently, because there were lots of times over the years where I had a kid that was he really was getting a full scholarship, but it was financial aid, and I lost that kid over and over to full scholarships because they felt uneasy that, hey, what if my finances change, you know, and that was used against you. Now they can't use that. I mean, it's a full, you know, it's full room, board, tuition, books, you know, the whole thing, and it's not going to change if dad gets a better job. So you're looked upon completely different. And
I assume also now that when you look at the potential athletes out there, that it's the full socioeconomic spectrum. I mean, you're not worried, the poor student who perhaps could have gotten in here with financial aid, the really wealthy student who got in here with financial aid, but now everybody is kind of on an equal plane in terms of getting into this college, because you can help that real good middle-class young man get a scholarship here. Right.
If you go back to the Florida example, because they're further away, and you know, when you're closer, I think you understand a little bit better the educational value of a Lafayette College. But still, in the Florida, again, if you go back and you say there's 50 Florida kids over the years, I'm for sure, I know 2 of them were kids that probably paid the full freight. I think there was 1 middle class, and I still don't know how they worked it out. But for the most part, they were all kids that financially could make it work because they just qualify for a ton of financial aid. You're going to get more middle class kids. That's what it really comes down to, is you get kids with, I know my kids were that way this year. They're more middle class type kids that, you know, really fit into the environment that we're excited about, because you didn't have to mess around with the money part. This is not a fact, this is an opinion coming from me, but I would venture to say that every scholarship player on that list that you're going through today, I don't think we would have got a single one if they were financial aid.
Wow.
They either would not have worked financial aid-wise, they'd have done something else, or they were offered a scholarship, or both. So, and that's a big difference. You know, there were kids that went to a lower level because they couldn't make it work financially. So the scholarship has made a big difference, and I think it makes a big difference in the academic kid too, because I know we got some kids that, you know, academically, in the whole league I'm sure did, that, you know, they would have been an Ivy League kid. You know, because of financial aid, this was a way better deal. So you're getting a better academic kid too, I think.
Without mentioning any names, can you sort of just describe for us the reaction of someone when you make that phone call and say to them, I am offering you a 4-year scholarship to Lafayette College to come here and play some football and get as good an education as you can get across the country? The reaction of a young man and his parents when they hear that.
Yeah, they're all different, because some might have a bunch of those kind of offers, and it's not that big of, you know, jump on it. But, you know, we made an offer to a junior, which you can't talk about now, but we made an offer to a junior, and the family and the kid, they're jumping up and down. You know, so it depends partly when it is in the process. If the kid has a bunch of offers already, you're not getting the same response, obviously. But the kids who really want to come, or, you know, you feel like you've been, you know, trying to find out, are they worthy of that scholarship? You know, we're investing a lot in them on their side.
Right.
So, you know, those kids, and you know that they really want to come, and your top choice, boy, they're really excited. And I had the pleasure of a couple of those guys this year where they were my guy and they had a full scholarship, and I could tell they really wanted to come, and we made the offer, and they took the offer in a hurry, and that was exciting.
It has to be exciting. It has to be a life-changing phone call, in all honesty.
Yeah, it is. You're giving a kid, you know, a tremendous opportunity to come to Lafayette College, and we're a top academic schools in the country. In the country, bar none. You know, the facilities behind us are the top in the country at this level, bar none. So you're really getting a lot. You know, you're getting a lot. And now you don't have to try to shell out a bunch of money to get it either. So it's fun to be able to do that now.
Yeah, just a great story. By the way, no better place than GoLeopards.com as far as Lafayette College athletics is concerned. And right now, if you would like, the women's soccer class of 2017 is now live on GoLeopards.com. So the women's soccer is there, as is so much information. GoLeopards.com. Make sure you pay attention to it. John, I'm going to take you through the 9 defensive players. Okay. Before I do that, obviously you look at your needs before you go out and find the people to fill them. What did you think were the things that you really wanted to get? Because I see you got 4 linemen, 3 linebackers, and 2 defensive backs.
Yeah, I thought we hit all our needs. You know, we needed a corner, which we got, which we're going to talk about. We really felt like we needed a corner, wanted a long, athletic kid. We found that, and in fact, we found 2 of them maybe. We needed defensive linemen. Was a big thing. You know, we lost Jay and Ricky, and we lost Tair Vasil in there, so we needed to get some guys. I don't know if we need, we need depth more than we need anything at this point. We've put together 3 great recruiting classes in a row. You know, the thing you sell with the scholarships is this are first-year scholarships. So these kids are a little bit different, and they're going to not only provide depth, and you try to tell them that, hey, if they're watching right now, work hard, put yourself in position to play. I think it's going to push the kids that are already in the program, and we didn't graduate that many, but we needed D linemen, we needed a corner, and I'm really excited about the backers we have in the middle, which we'll talk about.
And I think you can always offer up the proof that in the last couple of years, so many freshmen and sophomores have been able to get out on the field and play. That's
right, and now those guys, I know last year, as a defensive coordinator and coaching specifically linebackers, none of those linebackers had played, and now we have about 8 or 9 of them that played. Sometimes they get injured, somebody else had to step up. Things happen, obviously, but now you come into spring ball and you get 8 or 9 of them that played, and we just added 3 to the mix. So the competition is going to change everything, and it really, I know that it pushes you, because there was a time for a year or 2 there we just didn't have the competition. It wasn't enough guys. So that'll be a lot different, I think.
All right, let's look at the class. We're going to start with a defensive lineman, 6'2", 245 pounds from Colorado. A guy who you project as either being an outside linebacker, inside linebacker, or a defensive end. And that's because he can run so well, and that's Colin Albershart.
Yeah, the big thing is we didn't need a Mike linebacker. There was a lot. We must have watched 70 linebackers in there, and you can see them run around on here. We didn't need a Mike. We needed guys on the outside more that could really run, because we felt like we had those guys. And Bowles has really come on, Dodd and Gill and Kirkpatrick. I mean, they all can do that spot. So when you're watching this tape right now, we really thought Colin could run. And he can do the same things, I think, that Kasha and Dorner can do with the anchor. But I'm not sure he can't be a Sam. I'm not sure he can't be a Mike or even a Will. I mean, he's a legitimate 6'2", and he was 240-something here. And he can really go. So I think the possibilities for him are unlimited. I really do.
I've been around Mike Joseph long enough and you long enough to know what Mike, Sam, and Will are, but maybe some of the people watching don't particularly understand the football jargon.
Well, the Mike is the middle backer who, we want them all to run sideline to sideline and run, but he's more of a downhill type player, which we have a bunch of those. We have those guys. The Willie is more of our playmaker, and Andy Romans is the best we've ever had there. So Andy wasn't big, but he could really run. I think, and the Sam is an outside guy that has to be able to run a little bit more and do a lot of things for us. And the anchor is the rush end, but also drops. We're a 3-down and a 4-down team with the same personnel. So I think he can do all those things. We need to get him here and find out where to put him. But we really have high hopes for him, because he can really, really run, and he's big and strong.
Well, we look forward to Colin coming on campus. All right, Alex Alford III, Alexander, a defensive lineman, 6'2", 250. Again, far away, out of Tennessee.
Yeah, out of Tennessee. He's one of those guys, the internet's changed everything in recruiting too. Because it's not like we're spending a ton of time down in Tennessee recruiting, obviously. But, he sent an email, and we liked what he did on film, and, started contact with him. And he had some family ties in here. In fact, his family's going to move up here, and I think his dad already did. So, he did some nice things on film, and we decided to get him up here for a visit. Really liked it, and committed the next day. So we're happy to have him too.
Well, that's a good story too, just about the family. Connor Bohr, a linebacker, 6'2", 220. Not too far away, Voorhees, New Jersey.
No, we went down and saw him. Stan Clayton did a great job recruiting him, and I went down there and talked to him a bunch and have really communicated a lot. He played a little bit more safety in high school. He's right across the river, and from Philadelphia and Jersey. Plays in a good program down there. I think he can really run. He's physical, and we're going to try him at Willie linebacker. And if he might be able to play in the back end, but we're going to try to use him at Willie linebacker. He's already about 220 pounds, and he has height to him, and he's got some length, and we're excited about him too.
It's another thing I've noticed over the years. I've been doing this now for 15 years here at Lafayette, but the kids just start coming in bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, it's unbelievable.
The weight training is just, the weight training and the strength is so much different. And Again, when you're messing around with scholarships, they're a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, and they're a little bit more weight trained. So it's kind of how it works.
It's fun to mess around with scholarships. Ben Carroll, defensive back out of Cincinnati, Ohio. I talked to Mike Joseph about this. So you get a kid from St. Xavier, you got to be happy.
Oh, what a great program! And you know what? He plays corner for them, and you can see how long he is. You know, he's here down on the screen. I mean, he can press, he can flip his hips, he can run, and you see him doing it at the bottom. He's got good ball skills. He has all the things you're looking for. And if he's not a corner, he can play safety. So, because he has the size, we had him about 6'3", and I'm really excited about him. You know, this was a longer process recruiting, but once we got him on campus, he fell in love with it and committed right away too. So.
Robin Cepeda, defensive lineman, Patterson, New Jersey, played for Passaic Tech. Another strong kid who I know you think is just a terrific athlete.
Yeah, I really think he's going to be a great nose guard. You know, he's over 270 pounds, so he should be able to contribute in a hurry, which we need some guys in to give us some depth in the middle in there. Had a buddy who I won't mention at one of another college that had him in camp and said they had to pull him out of camp because he's destroying everybody, included 2 scholarship offensive linemen. So they literally had to pull him out of camp. And I went to the school with Coach Fine and shook his hand. And he said, meat hooks for hands. He's really, really strong, and we call heavy hands. Yeah. And I love the kid's personality, and we are very excited to have him. I think he could give us depth in a hurry.
That's Robin Cepeda. Remember that name. Yeah, you wanted a tall, long defensive back. You got it in Draylon James.
Yeah, Draylon James was he was one of our top corner prospects the whole time. We brought him up quite a while ago. And Phil Hallahan did a good job of staying on top of him and recruiting him, and Doug McFadden, our secondary coach, and you can see him down on the screen now. But he very athletic, can run. Same thing, you're looking for ball skills. You know, we were second in the country in interceptions with 22 this year, and dropped 6 against Lehigh. So if we catch all those balls, we got to catch them all. But you improve your ball skills. But if you already have them, what you're watching on tape. There's still a baseline. His baseline's pretty good.
You kind of started the success of bringing Lafayette athletes in from Florida. This kid's from Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
Was that hard to give up that gig?
It was hard to give up. It was hard to give up the weather. Yeah. It wasn't hard to give up flights and arranging flights and being away from the family as much. It's a lot easier being in Eastern PA.
I can understand. Andrei Lubadev, kind of a Russian background, defensive lineman, wrestler. That always helps. 6'4", 225 out of New Jersey.
Yeah, you know what? There was one of the same coaches that we talked about before with Robin, had him also and just said he was just tremendous. I mean, you can see him here down on tape. I mean, he has real height. He's already about 260 something. He's just wrestling a little bit, and one of the guys I know saw him actually wrestle, and it really he couldn't believe how good he was, and had barely started.
And we've had a lot of success with defensive linemen that could wrestle.
No question. It's a different toughness. There's nothing against basketball, but it's a different toughness when you're up in there, and there's a big jump when playing in the trenches when you go from high school to college. But another kid that played in a good program, we'd seen enough of him live that we really like him, and again, he's a big, strong kid already, so I'm hoping he can push guys that are already here also.
Here's a guy I know you really like. You've already talked about him a few times in terms of the recruiting process, and that's Matt Rothrock, defensive lineman, 6'2", 260, and he can probably play any one of the 4 positions. Matt
Rothrock is a perfect example of getting a kid you're not getting him out of scholarship. I mean, he literally had a MAC offer, had CA offer, obviously had our league offered. You gravitate to the same guys, but he came in the summer to camp, had him, really liked the place, was here for spring practice. We just tried to do a good job of just get him here as much as you can, because what's not to like? And he had been on our campus a bunch, came to a game, and when we, we're cautious, want to make sure we don't make a mistake. That's the biggest thing. It's not,
there's more pressure.
You got to get it right. There's not as many kids on that list. And, the thing that I've always thought and heard is just, it's the guys you take are the ones that beat you, not the guys you lose. So we took him. We got to get it right. But he's already a lot bigger and stronger than he was even during the season. Our whole defensive staff went down and watched him in a playoff game. And I know this, when I went around and I banged on doors looking for juniors, people would ask you as I'm going through all that area down there by Reading, and even a lot further than that. I mean, I was 2 hours away, and somebody say, "Who did you get?" And I said, "Matt Rothrock." I said, "Man, you got that guy?" Like, holy cow. So there's a difference there.
Now, Zach Zwizik went to the same school, Wilson of West Lawn. Did he help in the process?
He probably did a little bit. I mean, they're far enough apart, but you know, it just, there's, you know, you get familiarity with the coaches, and I think they're, you know, they get to be on your side and all that. And you know, one of the physical education teachers is the head coach at Lancaster Catholic. So, you know, we got a couple kids from there also. So, you know, he's also probably in his ear a little bit about how great a place it is. But it was, we offered him, got him up here on a visit, and he committed the next day or that night, I think. So it wasn't a real hard recruit. It's been fun just keeping in touch with him.
Sounded like you got it right with Matt Rothrock, for sure. Yeah. Our final guy is Duncan Sparks. You saw him at camp this summer, outside linebacker, 6'3", 215 pounds, out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yeah, you know what? He walked in our door on if the camp was Saturday, came in here Friday. Met the kid, shook his hand, saw his dad, wanted to be an engineer, okay, from North Carolina. Obviously, same thing, we're not banging the bushes in North Carolina too much, right? So, but you know what, just as soon as you talk to the kid and you're virtually begging him to come to camp, and here he is in the middle of the screen here, you'll see, as a middle linebacker. You know, his brother plays in the CAA. I mean, you just see how athletic he is. I tell you what, we had a great group of linebackers, guys that got CAA offers and everything else when he was here that same time. And the thing I kept saying was, this kid can play. I mean, just, you know, you have a different feel when you have them live. The more you hang out with a kid, the more you know you got it, the more you start to question whether you get it right or you know you got it right. And I tell you what, we got it right, because, you know, I ran him around the same way I run around our guys. And this kid can run and play, and he cares about football, and I think he can play a number of positions. Same thing.
Had the chance this past year to spend a little time in the booth with John Luce. He is as emotional and emphatic and loves the game of football. But I kind of get a sense you don't mind recruiting either. It sounds like you love that too. You
know what you do? You feel like you're changing kids' lives. You're taking a kid that because of football or because you came in there, and you're giving them an opportunity at a great school like Lafayette. You're changing their lives.
Well, speaking of that, I can't let you go because you've changed a lot of lives with Lawrence First and Goal. Just briefly, how are things going with that? And if anybody's out there that might want to help in that process, maybe tell them how they can do that.
Yeah, well, Lawrence First and Goal, this will be our 10th year this year at Lafayette. We also have another one in Ohio. It's always the first Sunday in June, so it's Sunday, June 2nd. You know, it's $40 minimum donation now, and it's all online at, you know, lfg.org. So it's lfgf.org. And but if you search any Lawrence First and Goal in any search engine, it'll pop up. And you know, I haven't done a mailing yet. We already have the registrations flying in. 275 college coaches the last 4 years or so, a big-time speaker, and it all goes to brain tumor research and cancer services. And I'd say the majority of our players that we got on this class, they came through that camp. So, if they're local.
Thank you.
All right,
thank you. The very, very best. All right, thank you. It is National Signing Day. This is Signing Day Central, primarily for football, but you can catch soccer, women's soccer. You can also catch the women's field hockey team. They, of course, were the Patriot League champions last year. All of that on GoLeopards.com. I always like to remind you that season tickets right now are available. It's a special price because of Signing Day Central for $60, 5 home games. The Lafayette-Lehigh game, which is at Lehigh, is part of that package for $60. It's only for new season ticket holders only. If you previously had season tickets, you are not part of the special, but of course you're always welcome to call in and order your season tickets for the upcoming football season. Well, I've talked to the offense coordinator, the defensive coordinator, my color analyst on LSN. I think it's only appropriate that next up at 5:30 on the wrap-up show, we finally get a chance to chat with head coach Frank Tavati. In between that, we will have the admissions director here at Lafayette College, Matt Hyde. So Coach Tavani at 5:30, Matt Hyde at 5 o'clock. If you've been with us all day,